What's up, everybody? FooserX here again. Today we're going to be talking about the left hook exclusively, aka Big Daddy. And in my previous video, I talked about fibro hacking theory and went through some of my hacks, but I didn't really focus on any one of them and explain why that specifically, why that one works. And you kind of need to. We have to understand why things work in this game. We can't just learn shit and throw it out there. We really have to understand philosophically why it works. That way we can game plan, we can make adjustments and start tweaking things. We can really get in people's heads and start playing mental chess. So with that said, let's start talking about the 2-1-3 hook. And when we say 2-1-3, we're talking about the men on the table. So this is the 5-row. So we're talking about, this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 2-1-3 would be 2-1-3 box. All right, so just to get an idea of what this looks like, I'm going to open up the cage on this beast real quick. All right, there it is. And you can do that off any number of setups. That's just, my 5-row series kind of starts off like it has stopped here and you're kind of moving it. So let's talk about this. First off, why does it even need to be 2-1-3? I mean, that, my friends, is a great question, and that's what we're going to dissect here today. This hack is designed with a few things in mind. First off, the 2-1-3 is created to blend in with the near wall passing series. I mean, check it out. This is our weave. It blends in seamlessly with this motion here when we're setting up. When we're setting up all of our passes, we're already tic-tacking it off that. Another reason why we use the 2-1-3 hack is, kind of what we just talked about, is it really opens up the passing lanes, namely the wall. So let's really look at this here, because this is one of the biggest points right here. So the left hook, the release point is past big dot. And look where your man, look where the 5-row has to come out to block this hack. And now look at this wall, look at the space you have to do a wall pass here. I mean, this is bananas. This is a gimme, because a good wall, even an average wall pass, can get through this. That little sliver of a rod there, any average wall pass is going to get through that. So think about it. Now that we're the 5-row, the defender has to come all the way out here, and we have a series that's going to be up here. We can do fast walls. We could do a brush down way up there, and they're going to be nowhere near blocking that. This is why if you're hulking out left hooks, you're pretty much going to get wall passes all day long. That's just, everyone's asshole is going to be so puckered up for you waiting to launch Big Daddy, that if you have an even average wall pass, which you obviously need to have, you're going to start living with it as well on the 3-row. So it's pretty much pick your poison. If you have a good left hook and a good wall pass, I mean, obviously you need to have some other passes in there. That's a great recipe for frustration for your opponent. And let's look at certain setups here. When you're playing, when you have a good left hook, what you're going to be looking at as a offensive player. So typically, in singles and sometimes even in doubles, this is the setup you're getting. When you're passing on this side of the table, their goalie defense is going to be on this side of the table. And if this guy is at big dot, you should automatically know, hey, I can go around that at any point in time, pretty close to unraceable. And so whenever this is stuff that should be pre-programmed in your head. You're passing, you see this guy in middle territory, you should be thinking, and then you see this guy over here in no man's land, when you go, you should just know, hey, this hole is going to be open, I'm going to get a free point. And then if they start to come out here, if the goalie, or they set it up in singles to go a little bit further, and that's, you're going to see that. So then you have this. I mean, this slider is open all day long. So these setups here, when you see this, automatically you should be thinking in your head, like I said, you should be practicing against these setups enough that it's just automatic. Hey, I see this hole here. I'm going to throw some sliders. If they creep in here, I'm going to hit the left hook. If they're floating out here to block my left hook, I'm going to go to wall pass. So again, all this stuff should just be second nature, just so fluid in your head. You see it and you react to it. And next point here, why is the 2-1-3, this motion, Like, why is that sequence optimal? And that tic-tac motion works the best because like that back and forth nature of the ball, by moving it back and forth, it allows for like maximum firepower. So it's like kinetic energy is being stored up in that ball when you're moving it around. And then when you go, it's just like click, click, boom. And the time it takes for the ball to travel the distance between here and here, like that's the time that's needed to really crank this bitch home. Like, because when you hit the ball finally over here, you're kind of coming up on the ball, like way up here. I mean, this is pretty much an open-handed shot. And so you need that extra time for the ball to come from here, from 1 to 3, to really just like square up that shot and pound it long. So that's why 2-1-3, like that's why there's just so many reasons why we use that, but you really need that distance to like max out the power on this. You know, I haven't been playing for about 20 years, but it's still less than a second before it's gone. Like, people can't just race that. You know, they're going to have to predict it. They're going to be jumpy, and they're going to have to start camping out there. And once they start camping out, you know, we went through some of those options. And number 4, like, let's look at a byproduct of this shot. You know, in addition to scaring the opposing 5-row into giving you all these gimme wall passes, it changes the way the goalie plays as well. You know, we don't think about that, but it does. Like, the goalie has to be out here floating to be aware of this shot, you know? Ditto, like Mark Madej, Cheese, Robbie. These people have these 5-row hacks that are so disgusting that you have to walk up to the table and tell your goalie, hey, like, you have to float around out here. And once you start doing that as a goalie, you're sort of taking your eyes off your primary objective. Like, as a goalie, our objective isn't to just block and clear. It is to do those other things. It is to keep out slop, to keep out deflected passes. And if you're focused on this, like, look, you're giving up this big slop lane if somebody misexecutes a pass. You know, you're giving up these ricochets over here because you're focused on this, and you're going to let ricochets come off the wall. And we know elite foosball is not sloppy. And so elite foosball comes down to 1 or 2 possessions a match that can just like change the whole course of the match, you know, who wins that. So when, as a goalie, if you're scared and you're giving up those 1 or 2 slops or ricochets or something, like that could be it. So that's a great byproduct of having that weapon over here. And I actually got, you know, a kind of funny story here. It really nails down the power of Big Daddy. I was playing against Robbie in the DYP last week. This is Robbie Mares. You know, he's a top 10 player. He's former #1. And we were going head-to-head on the 5 for 2 games, and I was blocking him pretty good on the 5. I mean, I've been playing him for 20 years. I kind of got a read on what he likes to pass and his tendencies. And he was definitely dominating the 3 rows. So they won the first game. Second game, we're even. And I felt like we were tied. I think it was a 2-2. It's kind of a big point. And even though they had won the first game, it was still a big point because we're tied. And if I could, you know, start dialing it up a little bit on the 3 row, we might, you know, go third game and anything could happen. Or if he cooled off a little bit on the 3 row, all of a sudden this match is very even. And so, you know, we're in the second game. I blocked 2 of his passes, and like out of nowhere, he cranks out his left hook. Like, I didn't react. My goalie didn't react. It was gone. Like, it was invisible. And I even told my goalie, like, before the game, before the match, like, hey, watch out for his left hook when he has it on the 5. Like, it's nasty. But because he waited for a whole game and a half, like, even when he was getting shut down on the 5 in game 1, like, he still had the discipline to wait on that. He definitely could have taken it, you know, probably once or twice, but he saved it to use when he really needed to throw out that trump card, you know, when it mattered most. And that's Master Foosball. You know, that's why he's champ. Like, he groomed me to forget all about his primary weapon. And I love that word groom. I'm probably going to use it a lot, so I'm going to go off tangent again, just like last video, and that's okay, because we're not here talking about mechanics and execution. We're talking philosophy and theory. So I'm just going to explain the word grooming and the origins in case you guys don't know. And it's kind of sick, but that's why I like it. You know, foosball can be a little sick and twisted at times. You know, I always say foosball is a metaphor for life. So, you know, let's dive deep real quick right here. Like, the term grooming basically comes from the dynamics of an abusive relationship. The perpetrator, like he or she, you know, they have to start out the relationship being really nice. Like, this is like the grooming phase. They're basically manipulating their victim into thinking, wow, I met this really wonderful person. I can't wait to tell all my friends about this new guy or girl. I mean, think about it. If like that person was their true self right off the bat, if they were just like an asshole and abusive right off the bat, like that new interest would just leave. They'd be like, yeah, I don't want any part of this mess. See you. Like, that's why they have to be nice in the beginning to like really hook in their victim. And so I love that as it relates to foosball, because that's what it is. It's manipulation. And just so we know, yes, in real life, abuse is awful. I'm not making light of that. Like, we're just talking foosball here because we're manipulating the other player to think that we're this very nice, very predictable opponent. Let's court each other on the 5-row. Let's take our time. Let's not rush anything. We're gonna go take a nice picnic in the park, and then kablam! Bitch, where's my dinner? I mean, that's what's happening here. I know that was wrong, but this is what smart foosball is. It's abusing the other player emotionally, mentally. It's manipulating them. It is mental dominance. Like, that's why we love this game. That's why we walk away from every match feeling like we stole a little bit of that person's soul. So, all right, let's get back to foosball talk. I know that metaphor was a little deep, but sometimes I get lost in my own head here. It's so funny. All right, what to watch out for? Like, what are some of the keys to this hack when you're learning it? If you're new, this is all going to feel foreign to you. Just the distance the ball's traveling before you hit it, that's going to feel different, and don't worry. That's totally normal. It's okay. It's like picking up a guitar for the first time. Everything's going to feel awkward. You're going to be stretching out your fingers and like, how can I play a G chord and then switch into a B? Like, how does anybody play the guitar? It's because your body's not used to this yet. And, your toss isn't going to be coordinated. Coming down on the ball, it's almost open-handed. It's going to hurt. You're introducing a new motion, a new impact to your palm that you haven't felt before. And it's going to take a while to get used to that. And when you finally do start making contact, it's going to be spraying off to the side because, you don't have the power to square this thing up. You haven't developed that power. You have not put in the reps. You have not put in the proper sacrifice to the foos gods for them to gift you with the thunder that is Big Daddy. This takes time, guys, and this is where we separate out who wants to dominate and who just wants to have fun on the table. And another key, I feel like this is a key to everything in every video, and that is it has to blend with your series. Your series, your 5-row series has to have like a motion where this thing can seamlessly blend. I mean, yeah, you can have a slow brush but then you might have this giddy up to shooting it. And that little tiny giddy up might be the difference between it getting blocked or raced versus just going in. And that's why we really have to pay attention to our series. We're not passing, we're not executing, we're just mentally putting in the front end work here into our game. Like, you can't just practice the hook and your 5-rows separately and expect things to fit in. Like, it doesn't work that way. You can have an awesome hook and an awesome 5, but if they don't fit together, you're losing something. So get on the table and really put time into crafting a seamless 5-row where everything blends in together. And one last thing. So don't use this. A lot of people use this hook because it's such a deadly weapon. It's such a game changer. They start to depend on it. And sometimes when you're losing or you're panicking, you start using it and it's going to be predictable. If you're trying to pass a lot and your 5's getting blocked, you're going to have this need to throw out your left hook. And when you start getting blocked a lot, like, you start giving off this desperation vibe. Like, and people pick up on that. It's this stench of weakness, like this stink of being owned, and you start doing things that you don't normally do. And you stop seeing the hole. You're just hoping shit goes in. And so let's try not to use this weapon when we're in desperation, because it's just going to be a pointless turnover, a wasted possession. And against good players, it's not a good idea. So I think that about covers all things left hook in terms of why we use it, the benefits of going 2-1-3, the mechanics behind it, how to really take advantage of the defenses that you're going to see once you develop a really strong one. So if you guys have any questions or disagree with anything here today, post it in the comments section below. I love talking foosball, theories, metaphors, whatever. Like, that's how we all keep learning and growing in this game and in life. So take care, guys, and really feel like I need a catchy sign off for my videos. So if you guys have any ideas on that, to post it in there. All right, laters.